everyone, MJ here. Today I am in a 2020 Jaguar F-Pace. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the obvious things and then the not so obvious, starting with the interior. It's really nice in here. Before I came to drive this car, I did look at the internet, see what other people thought about it, read some reviews, and the consensus was, yeah, it was a poor interior, very cheap, and you know what? Driving it now around for a few hours, it's not that bad. But I'm speaking from the average guy kind of viewpoint. It's not bad at all in here. It's been given this very classy look. As you can see behind me, you've got a lot of yellow stitching on the seats, yellow stitching on the door panels, yellow stitching everywhere. And that's signature to match the Jaguar 300 Sport, which this one is. But yeah, the yellow stitching continues everywhere, even here on the dashboard and on the doors, everywhere. And you even got some nice Alcantara over here. I don't know if you guys can see that, which I think fits the car quite well. And when you look past the interior, the outside looks pretty damn good. The design of this car is spot on for a sports SUV. It's got the nice lines, the nice swoopy look, the futuristic design. It's a really unique design for this car, and I like it because it looks good. You can't fault it. Where things start to get interesting. Now, when you get past the yellow stitching, the 300 Sports on the steering wheel, the infotainment system, the gauge cluster, which is nice, by the way, very clean, very informative as it's supposed to be. You can switch through multiple media options on the infotainment system. When you get past all that, there's nothing more happening in here. It's quite boring. There's nothing extreme, nothing out of the ordinary. And again, this is my opinion. I think of a British luxury SUV. I think of other cars. We'll hold that to later in the video. But when you get in here, it doesn't really differ in so many ways from other basic SUVs. You've got one infotainment system, this dial button here in the central control stack, and your buttons to move between the different modes. But other than that, it's quite basic in here. Nothing is really that special, and I think that's where people really draw the line in the interior, and I think that's where people fault it. Now, outside that, in the interior, seating room is fine. I see quite well. Backroom seating room is not the best, but everything else is okay. And like I said, people draw the line with the interior not being overly exciting, giving that wow factor, and that's my honest opinion. But for me, I think it's fine. If you like Jaguar, the brand, and you want something luxurious and not an Audi or a Mercedes or a BMW that everyone's driving, this is the car. This is very good. Now, I've been driving this car for a little while, and there are a few issues I have. See, Jaguar's created this sporty SUV to give it a more performance look, as you can notice in the exterior. With that comes with some drawback. The ride is harsh. See, it's stiff. You feel everything, all of the bumps on the road. It's not as, soft as you would expect. It's quite harsh, quite intrusive. But the advantage to that is with a stiff suspension, it's quite good on the turns. It's very sharp, and the steering wheel has a good feel to when you're maneuvering through the road. I think they've done that really well. Dynamic is where you get better handling, better steering feel when you take turns. It's a lot more tighter, I found, in my little driving around. But with the Jaguar, you get all your 2020 bells and whistles, your lane keep assist, heated steering wheel, heated seats, everything you'd want. And a good point for it, like I always say in my videos, is you get buttons for almost everything that you need. Buttons for your climate controls, your fan speed, buttons for everything. Speaking of the infotainment system, there is a drawback. It is nice to touch. Everything is responsive, but the speed of everything, I found, is quite slow. I have to be honest, it is slow. It's not as responsive as in some of the cars I've driven this year. Things take a little bit of delay. In this modern age of cell phones and everything, you want things to be as responsive as possible. It's not the case. It is a little slow. That's to be said. This car starts at $52,000 Canadian base. The one we're in today, it costs just about $62,000 to $65,000 brand new. This is the interesting part. Now, over the last year, with everything that's been going on, this also has skyrocketed. In the market today in Canada on Auto Trader, prices of these are about $75,000. I'm driving a British SUV that has been around for not so long, What would the difference be driving a car that has been around for so long in the same sort of segment and has a household name? So I called up my friend and I asked them to hook me up with something that I thought would be just as nice. So say you have a big bag of cash lying around, or you just came into some money and you're eager to buy a car that would ooze cash, some level of sophistication. Join the elite. There's only one SUV that says, I'm classy but not too rich. I'm sophisticated but not a snob. And that's this one, the Range Rover. Okay, so I might have exaggerated it a little bit over the Range Rover, but I mean, it's a Range Rover. There are people who, without a doubt, will pick a Range Rover over anything. I look at the Range Rover the same way I look at the Nike logo or the Nike shoes, if you will. There's some sort of cult following Nike in their shoes, and that's exactly the same with Range Rover. There are some people who wouldn't pick any other car but a Range Rover, even though it has one of the world's worst reliability rating or one of the most unreliable SUVs you can possibly buy. There's just something about it. Here, the Range Rover is on a different level. So if the Jaguar is kind of here, the Range Rover is kind of like here. The interior is really nice. The materials are more than nice than in the Jaguar. The seats are very soft and smooshy and comfortable. Leather all around. You can just immediately tell everything is just of a different quality. The layout in front is very luxurious, very executive. It's a really nice place to be in here. Oozes luxury. This is a sport model. It is quite bigger than your regular Evoque. How I complained in the Jaguar that when you get in, there's no immediate wow factor to it. There's no feeling that, oh, I'm in a luxurious British car that is different from my regular, BMW or Mercedes. And not to say all of those cars aren't good. They are exquisite on their own level. But the thing with Range Rovers is they've always had this class of cars, class of consumers who buy these cars. Even the Queen drives a Range Rover. It speaks for itself. That aside, I've been driving the car now for about an hour, and it's easy to fall in love with this car. I'm not a big fan of screens in cars for your controls, but Range Rover has knocked this out of the park. They've made this very easy to fall in love with, very easy to control. Everything is easy to touch, very responsive, very quick. I'm saying a lot of varies, but trust me, people who drive Range Rovers know exactly what I'm talking about. This car is beyond easy to sort of fall in love with and live with. The ride quality is another thing. The Jaguar has a harsh ride quality. This one is just impeccable. It feels soft on the turns. It's not as stiff. It feels soft over bumps. Nice, smooth, comfortable ride with the comfortable seats. It's easy to just find myself wanting to cruise with this car on a long trip because it's just that easy to fall in love with and that easy to drive. However, there is a drawback. How Jaguar is quite tight with turns, easy to take corners at high speeds. This one quite lofts a bit. When you turn this car, you quite feel its mass lean over, and I don't think people who buy this car really care. They're driving a Range Rover, and that's all there is to it. Okay, so let's be realistic. This car is quite a lot more expensive than the Jaguar. I see it. Right? You have these two large screens in the front, just like bright right out. They needed such a huge screen for all of the climate control systems. The one on top is the Infotainment System, where you can control your music, your navigation, all that sort of stuff. Have all the bells and whistles, the heated seats, adaptive cruise control, lane monitoring, everything. It's equipped from top to bottom. I think it's time to conclude. So, at the end of the day, after spending some time with both the Jaguar and the Range Rover, it's safe to say the Range Rover is my favorite. Yes, maybe a little bit more expensive. Okay, a lot more expensive. But when you're spending that kind of money for the class, the recognition, what you're getting with the Range Rover is, sorry, that can't beat it. I do love the Jaguar. So if you're in the market for a sport utility vehicle, this would be a great option. But if you need an SUV to haul around and do whatever you need, that's gonna be my pick. With that, I want to say thank you for watching. Leave a comment down below, give this video a thumbs up if you like, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.